All right, welcome back, guys. We are going to talk about some advanced techniques in shooting these business profile videos. We'll be talking about shooting handheld, and we will be going over camera techniques. We will also be talking about some of the new cameras out there that people are shooting on. So, let's get started. All right, so let's talk about shooting handheld. When you're shooting these business profile videos, shooting handheld allows you one main advantage, and that is time. When you're not running around with your camera locked down to a tripod, you save time by not having to level your tripod, not having to pick up, move your tripod around, and get into tight spaces, which is easier to do handheld. However, it's really easy to screw up your shots if you don't know some of the basic techniques when shooting handheld. So let's go over those. All right, so the first technique I'm going to go over when shooting handheld is shooting from the hip. This is a nice way to stabilize the camera by resting it against your body. And it also actually kind of gives you a bonus. It's an interesting perspective. And depending on the business, you could use this to your advantage. The next one is shooting with the eyepiece. When you hold this up to your face like this, it allows extra stabilization and an extra stabilization point. The next technique I'm going to talk about really isn't a technique at all, it's just a setting, and that's the image stabilization setting on your camera. It's going to help to give your image a more stable look, and just as a reminder, remember to turn that off when you go back to the tripod. Alright, so if you're shooting on some of the newer cameras like the DSLRs, they're really small and unforgiving when it comes to handheld and shaky hands. So a solution to that is throwing the camera onto some rails or a shoulder mount or even a monopod. It's going to allow for steadier shots, and it's really going to pay off in the end. Alright, so while we're still on the topic of shooting handheld, let's talk about a few different techniques that'll add a little style to your shooting. Alright, so whip hand's really nice when you're shooting these business profile videos. It adds a nice fast-paced style to these videos. Another handheld technique I like to use is a dolly or a drift shot. So what I'll typically do is I'll drift off a wall, or I might even drift off of a foreground element. So the next technique I'm going to suggest is a rack focus. When shooting these business profile videos, using a rack focus comes in handy. This is going to give the video a nice cinematic look and really grab the attention of the viewer. These types of shots just help to give the overall business profile video a nice dynamic look. Alright, so now we're going to talk a little bit about camera recommendations, and as most of you know, technology is moving rapidly, always, so cameras are changing by the month. The Clyde's over here, right there on the Panasonic HVX. Right there, he's shooting with that, and we're recording audio into there. And then we got the Canon 7D going over here. We like the HVX for its general robust nature and audio options, and we like the 7D for the cinematic look and the interchangeable lenses and low light capabilities and all that good stuff. Out on the field, these two cameras complement each other very nicely, and like I said though, things are always changing, and probably in a few months we're going to be shooting on the Panasonic AF100, and essentially what that does is, you know, basically it's going to combine these two cameras together, the 7D and the HVX. Alright, so here we are a few months later with AF100. Very cool camera. We got this guy all rigged up, cinema style. As I mentioned before, it's the kind of the mix of the DSLR and the video camera, best of both worlds. Now, if you're just getting started out and you want to look into some of the new DSLRs, you might want to check out the Lumix GH2 or the Canon 60D. Great cameras as well. But as they say, these are just lumps with lenses on them, and if you buy a camera like this and you got all the bells and whistles like we do here, it's not going to make you the next, you know, award-winning cinematographer. It's really up to you to make your footage look great. So, anyways, that's just a wrap up on some of the new gear, and good luck. So yeah, so just keep your ear to the ground about all the new technologies and new cameras coming out. And that concludes this video. It wraps up everything. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and good luck out there. Whip out.
To add a little pizzazz to your shots.
Pizzazz?
Yeah.
All right. Talk about a few techniques. Gonna add a little Shazam to your shots. Techniques that'll add a little shazam and pizzam to your shooting.
That's weird. You didn't say pizzazz. Is pizzazz not sticking in your head? You said pizzam.
I'm making up words. Well, that's a made up word too, though.
Pizzazz? I think pizzazz is a word.
Okay.